This is Look West, a podcast from California's Assembly Democrats.
The hour of noon having come and passed, and pursuant to the Constitution in the state of California, the organizational session for the 2023-24 regular session of the California Assembly will be called to order.
This month, California welcomed the biggest class of new Democratic Assembly members in state history. The official state assembly swearing in was a bit like the first day of school. Excited winners of November's election filled the assembly chamber, and the joyous energy and celebration of friends and family filled the room to the brim. Many assembly members were returning for another 2-year session, but there were also some new faces. This year, the California State Assembly Democratic Caucus welcomed more than a dozen new members. Hi, I'm Alexis Manzanilla with Look West. We asked each of the new members to introduce themselves, tell us a bit about their background and districts, as well as share why they went into politics, their top legislative priorities, and if they feel California is still a leader for the rest of the country. Since there are so many new members joining the Democratic Caucus, we've made 2 episodes for you to meet them. In this episode, we'll meet Juan Carrillo, who says soccer is life in his home. Blanca Pacheco, who reps tacos in her LA district as the best. Josh Lowenthal, the newest Lowenthal to be elected in California. Diane Papan, who also comes from a political family and loves comedy. Gregg Hart, who keeps track of the thousands of steps he takes each day. Avelino Valencia, who played football in college before moving into public service. Esmeralda Soria, the daughter of farmworker immigrants who loves banda. And Nguyen, the child of Vietnamese refugees.
For the office of the member of the Assembly, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Hello everybody, Juan Carrillo, Assembly member representing the new District 39, which is North LA County and a portion of San Bernardino County. What an honor to be here representing you. Thank you for putting your trust in me. Looking forward to doing great things, working with my colleagues here in the Assembly. Things that I am passionate about and things that I will be addressing is going to be housing, transportation, education, and healthcare. I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico. I came to the U.S. when I was 15 years old. I came here because I had to work. I'm the oldest of 8. As you know, in our culture, we start working at a really young age. So at 15, landed in East LA, started working in a restaurant, being a dishwasher, but I knew that I had to get an education. I went to school at night, got my ESL classes at Garfield High School in East LA, got my GED classes, and then got my high school diploma. After I got my high school diploma, I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and I got my bachelor's in urban and regional planning. I started working as a planner. Being a planner, that's my profession. I've been doing it for about 20 years now. I work for the city of Palmdale, city of Coachella, and Desert Hot Springs. And I went back to school, got my master's degree in public administration with an emphasis in urban studies from Northridge. That's called St. Northridge. Hobbies, we love soccer. We in southern in Mexico, which is soccer is kind of like a passion to us. Now with the World Cup, it's just amazing. At 2 a.m. game is not too early for me to get up and watch. When we moved to Palmdale, because the city of Palmdale offered me a full-time job coming out of school, we had a 7-year-old son at the time, and I was looking for a soccer team for him to kind of introduce him to soccer. And they told me to go to this park in Lancaster, go talk to such and such, and they'll let the kid into the game. So I did that, went over, looked for that field, talked to the coach. My son started practicing, and every Tuesday and Thursday I went to the practices. One of the parents happened to be the president for the Palmdale Elementary Teachers Association, and he shared with me that they were having some concerns with the board members, school board members, and the superintendent. And to me, it was just chatting about stuff. And later I realized that he was interviewing me because before I knew it, he said, "Hey, why don't you run for the school board?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" So we did, and that was just politics 101 to me. So that's how I got into the elected positions, being a school board member. And then 2016, the city of Palmdale Same person that asked me to run for school board asked me to run for the city council because I had worked for the city for 10 years at the time. So that's how it happened. As far as favorite places for me, there is a kind of a historic place there in Palmdale. It's called the Four Points. A swap meet happens there every Sunday. A very popular place for the people in the Antelope Valley. They just go there on Sundays and do swap meet things. You can find anything you're looking for.
Hi everyone, my name is Blanca Pacheco, Assemblywoman for District 64. It is my honor to represent the cities of Bell, Cudahy, Bell Gardens, Downey, Norwalk, Santa Fe Springs, La Mirada, La Habra, and South Whittier. So a little bit about myself. I was born in Santa Barbara County in a city called Lompoc. We moved to LA when I was 1 because my mom wanted to pursue a career in nursing. So I grew up in LA County, from East LA, Boyle Heights, Huntington Park, Cudahy, Southgate, and eventually moving to Downey. And I went to Downey High School, went to Cerritos Community College, UCLA, so I'm a Bruin, and I got my degree in my bachelor's in poli-sci with a specialization in Chicano studies. I went on to law school, Loyola Law School, and I've been a practicing attorney since 2003. So there's so many great places in the city. We have in Downey, we have Gaucho Grill, we have Mimi's Cafe, we have a lot of Mexican restaurants. We have this great taco place, Tacos Estilo Guadalajara, and we also have the Columbia Memorial Space Center. But there's so many great locations in my district, and I'm just excited to be able to serve this fabulous district that I have. So my legislative priorities are many, but what I want to focus on is making sure we increase our middle class jobs, making sure we protect our small businesses, and also making sure we have quality education and helping our youth to prepare them to be our future leaders. I was not interested in pursuing a career as an elected official when I was at UCLA. My whole goal was to be an attorney, to one day be a judge, and then what happened is I got involved in my community. I became a member of my Kiwanis Club, which is an organization about helping children and the youth, and I got elected to City Council in 2016, and I seen this was my passion. And so I wanted to continue my service for my community, and that's why I ran for State Assembly. We're very innovative in California. We're always one step ahead. And we have the 4th largest economy here in the state. So there's many reasons why everyone should continue looking west.
Hey everybody, my name is Josh Lowenthal. I'm the newly elected Assembly member from District 69. That is Long Beach, Carson, Signal Hill, and Catalina Island. Very proud to represent these beautiful communities in our great state. This district's fascinating, the 69th. It includes the largest concentration of Cambodian Americans, in fact, the largest concentration of Cambodian population outside of Cambodia, as well as a very large Filipino population, Latino population. The communities of Long Beach and Signal Hill, Carson, flow together really well. And the culture is one where people are proud of each other. And so we really, really, love that. Born and raised in Long Beach, California, went to Cornell University back east, went to graduate school at UC San Diego, was a volunteer in the Israeli army for a short period of time, was a school teacher in Long Beach, and then embarked on a business career that was 25 years in the telecommunications sector, at one point owning a phone carrier business in West Africa. Well, I come from a family of service. As a matter of fact, I'm the only member of my family that hasn't been elected. My father is a sitting member of Congress, though he's retiring, served in the California Legislature as well as on the local level. My mother served in the California Legislature, continues to serve right now, the Long Beach Harbor Commission, and my only sibling is a judge in Long Beach Superior Court. Doing public service was part of the culture of our family. So very happy to be able to have this opportunity. My top legislative priorities are strengthening our economy and creating good jobs, protecting our environment, investing in public education, taking care of the unhoused and solving that crisis, and safeguarding our privacy, our digital privacy in the next generation. California does what it believes is the right thing to do and waits for the rest of the country or the rest of the world to follow. And even if they don't, it will continue to be bold. And so I'm very proud to have this opportunity in the state of California. This is where the action is.
Hi, I'm Diane Papan, and I am the newly elected Assembly member from AD 21, located in San Mateo County. It runs from South San Francisco to East Palo Alto as my district, all along the peninsula. So I happen to be from this district. I'm homegrown from this district. I grew up in one of the cities called Millbrae, partly Daly City, which is no longer in the district, but Millbrae. And then my family and I have been living in San Mateo, the largest city in the district, since for about 15 years. Well, I come from a political family, and that's not necessarily why I got into politics, but I certainly watched, my dad served in the state assembly, and I certainly watched the good that could be done. And it left quite an impression on me. And I had done a lot of things in my life prior to seeking public office. I had been an attorney for many years, I'd run a nonprofit for many years, and I just sort of felt like it seemed like a very natural next step to get involved in public life. And I'm telling you, I love it. It gets me out of bed in the morning. I feel you can really make a difference in people's lives, and especially in municipal government. And I'm looking forward to taking that perspective of trying to build consensus, listen to everybody, try to move the needle after you build consensus. I'm looking forward to taking that mindset to Sacramento, because I think we can really find common ground and make a difference. I could not feel more fortunate to be serving in the legislature of the fourth largest economy in the world. As they say, so goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. So I think a lot happens in here in Sacramento, and I couldn't be more delighted to be a part of the process here. Water is one of the biggest issues we face as a state, and it is something that I will be focused on. And I think water recapture is something that's its time has come. I always say, when people ask me what are the three things that I want to do outside of the water, I always say, well, there'll be three things today, three things tomorrow, and three things the next day. Because as I said, this is the fourth largest economy in the world, so we'll be tackling all sorts of issues. We are the biotech capital of the world. We will be trying to figure out how we can extract carbon from the environment, because even if we stop polluting today, we'll still have to take carbon out of the environment. So these are just some of the things that we're going to be at the forefront of technology in order to change what we're having to deal with climate-wise. I think the diversity here, both with people and with our geography and the industry that is here, absolutely, we are at the forefront. And I do believe that the rest of the nation looks west because of the diversity. And it is hard to wrap your mind around it, how truly big the state is, geographically speaking, but then also the numbers and the cultures that are here. I mean, this is a wealth like you cannot imagine. And so I have a lot of, obviously, homegrown state pride, but I do think that this state, it works on so many levels, and we're going to continue to make it work.
Hi, my name's Gregg Hart. I'm the newly elected Assembly member from the 37th Assembly District, representing Santa Barbara County and South San Luis Obispo County. I grew up in Santa Barbara County. I was originally living in Lompoc from 2 to 5 years old, and then moved to Santa Barbara, where my father was the library director for the Santa Barbara City and County. My mom was an elementary school teacher, and I went to local schools, graduated from Santa Barbara City College and UCSB, and have lived in the community all my life. This district is a wonderful part of California. One of my favorite things is when I'm traveling and I come back and fly into our sweet little airport. It's just a wonderful, refreshing feeling to be back in the Central Coast. And I think everybody shares that. It's the kind of place that's very intentional. People live there out of choice. And the community is a reflection of that. There's been generations of people who've invested deeply in growing the community and providing a sense of community. And it's a very special place to live. I think I was always sort of interested in helping. I had a public service family background with my father and my mother, And it kind of is a natural extension. I got interested in politics when I was a high school student. I worked on a statewide initiative campaign, environmental campaign, and then ended up in college as a political science major. And 40 years ago this year, I worked on then Assemblyman Jack O'Connell's first election campaign in 1982. And he was a long shot candidate who won against long odds. And I was smitten by the political bug and have been working in this space for 40 years now. Well, working on the economy is the first job. That's what I hear the most from people as I'm knocking on doors and talking with residents in our community. We need to make smart investments that will help produce a productive workforce in the future. So investing in education and infrastructure are really important, I think, to the residents of our district. I think on every issue that matters, California is the leader of the nation, and I hope in my way to add to that conversation and advance our leadership on so many important issues: environment, equity, education, the economy. There's many, many challenges ahead, but I feel like the new class that's coming into the legislature and all the veterans that are here, we can work together and accomplish big things.
Hi, I'm Avelino Valencia, the newly elected Assembly member representing the 60th Assembly District, and the cities include Anaheim, Santana, and Orange. It's extremely humbling to have been elected to represent the 60th Assembly District. I'm also excited and energized more than anything. Born and raised in the lovely city of Anaheim, I attended local public schools, Roosevelt Elementary, South Junior High, and then went on to Catella High School. I had the opportunity to play football at the junior college level, and then I got a scholarship to go play at San Jose State. And once I got done playing football, I had the opportunity to go back to grad school and graduated from Johns Hopkins with my degree in public management. Well, we're extremely diverse. We're the center and heart of Orange County. We have two sports teams, the Anaheim Angels, the Anaheim Ducks as well. Obviously, it's known as the happiest place on earth. And there's plenty of things to do as well. We have the Discovery Cube in Santa Ana. We also have Chapman University in the district. So there's plenty to do, and it's a lovely district. Three things that I'm going to focus off right off the bat are going to be enhancing green space, increasing our state's infrastructure, and then also focusing on our state education program. As California goes, so does the nation. We've seen that time and time again, and my hope is that I continue to lead in that capacity in whatever way that I can here as a state legislator.
Hello, my name is Esmeralda Soria, the new Assemblywoman for District 27, representing Fresno, Madera, and Merced counties. I was born and raised in the Central Valley, first generation daughter of farm worker immigrants that came here in the 70s in search of a better opportunity and life for their kids. And so I graduated from Lindsay High School, a small high school in the city of Lindsay in Tulare County. And I had the great opportunity to go to UC Berkeley on a full ride scholarship. And after actually Berkeley, I ended up coming to Sacramento and started as a young fellow through the Richard Polanco Fellowship back in 2006 to 2007. I stayed and worked for one of the senators at the time, and then left back to go to school to get my law school degree at UC Davis, King Hall. And what I realized that I had fallen in love with the lawmaking process and how we can impact people in a greater way by changing laws and policies. The district is very spread out, and what I will say that I love most about the district is the people that live in this district, because they're very resilient, and the small businesses. One of my favorites is 510 Bistro. That's actually where I had my election party. You know, the issues that are important in our district that I heard from the countless meetings that we had with the district residents was that water is a huge issue for our agriculture economy, safe drinking water for communities that live in rural disadvantaged neighborhoods, healthcare access to every single family that lives in the rural community, and also educational opportunities to ensure that our young kids in our community, just like the kids that I grew up with, that have the opportunity to succeed. The Central Valley also can be a leader. And, when it comes to water issues or even other innovative things that are happening in the Central Valley, which is the region that I get to represent, there is a lot of great things happening in our region. And I also want people from outside of California to look to the Valley on issues that maybe they don't necessarily think are happening, but they are happening in our community.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Nguyen, and I'm representing AD 10, which includes Sacramento and Elk Grove. It's still unbelievable to me that I am an Assembly member. The fact that I now get to come to the state capitol and take a look at how we can improve our state here, come up with bills. It's something that I never thought that I'd ever be able to do or even want to do. And so it's actually very exciting. I come from parents of Vietnam War refugees. I was actually born in Louisiana. So if you can imagine a little Asian girl speaking English with a Southern accent, I always thought that was so funny that teachers would want me to speak in English, and I didn't understand why until I grew older, and I realized it was because at the time I had this Southern accent as a little Asian girl, and it was so cute to them. And obviously now, living here in California, I've lost it. But my family stayed in Little Saigon in South Sacramento, and that's where I was homegrown. I went to McClatchy High School, Sacramento State, and then now I ran a nonprofit organization in Sacramento that had worked with refugees, immigrants, low-income communities for over 10 years. And so that's where my heart is there with the community. If you just drive along Stockton Boulevard, just Stockton Boulevard alone, where a portion of it now is considered Little Saigon, and depending on where you go, right, what side, if you're driving north or south, you're gonna hit a little area where it's almost like Little Mexico, where all of the, Mexican food are authentic Mexican food. And then you get into Little Saigon, right, where you've got the authentic Vietnamese food, and then you've got some African-American soul food that's mixed in there as well too, right? And so if you're looking for authentic food, I'd say Stockton Boulevard, which is now my district, right? And so I think food warms the heart. Food brings us all together, and everything you can think of is on Stockton Boulevard. Assemblymember Jim Cooper actually is the one that came to me and first approached me to run for office for the very first time. And I failed, but I learned so much in just running alone and how much it just consumes your entire life and how much you really have to put into it and all the things that go with running for office. I failed, but that opened up another door. I became a council member for the city of Elk Grove. And then again, when Assemblymember Jim Cooper decided to run for sheriff, which he's now the sheriff, he asked me to run for his seat. And so, yes, part of it is the work that I do in the community, how I grew up, all of the barriers myself and my family had to endure, but also the community that I worked with has led me to want to run for office because I want to make changes that are going to be better for our community. The legislative priorities that I'm really focused on is the community. I've from the very beginning, when I said I'm going to be the next Assembly member, it's about what can we do to better our community. We're looking at things like homelessness, crime rates, education, workforce development, economic development, things that I've done my entire life in my career is what I'm bringing with me to the Capitol. I've got family members that are still in Louisiana, and they talk about California all the time. California is doing this, California is doing that. You've got a lot of firsts here in California. You've got the first Hmong mayor. Now you've got in Oakland the first woman to be Hmong mayor as well too. We've got the first Sikh American mayor in the city of Elk Grove. A lot of firsts are happening here in California. And so I know that we are the model for the rest of the world.
You can learn more about these new members and the group of new members you'll meet in episode 2 by checking out their official social media accounts or by visiting the Assembly Democratic Caucus website. I'm Alexis Manzanilla with Look West. Thank you for listening.
The Look West podcast is produced by California Assembly Democrats. When you think of Californian politics, remember to look west.